guys look good.
Jason Rasmussen.
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 Okay. And that's German?
No, that's Danish.
Danish.
Yeah.
I'm with a Hayward resident, Jason Rasmussen. We're in Hayward, Wisconsin. This is the North Woods. This is the bowels of Jason's brewery. He has a brew pub that supports the village. I came to the bakery this morning to try and find the place. And when I asked about the Angry Minnow, the nice lady behind the counter smiled and told me exactly how to get here. So this is a fixture in Hayward, Wisconsin. Jason's going to give us a little tour.
So this is our grain room, barley room. All of our barley is malted by Breese in Chilton, Wisconsin.
How far is Chilton from here?
Chilton is about 5 hours, right on the other side of Lake Winnebago.
Oh, okay. So it's in the heart of Wisconsin.
Yep.
Where the temperatures are a little bit
A little bit warmer. Not very little of it's grown in Wisconsin.
Okay.
A lot of it is the Dakotas, Wyoming, Montana. That's where it's malted. They are doing some Wisconsin barley, but very, very limited. We do some Wisconsin hops, a little bit of Wisconsin hops, and trying to get, it's kind of taking off, trying to get more into the Wisconsin hops. But so kind of what we do here is we'll put together our grain bill, base malts, pale ale or a Pilsen malt, and then we have all of our specialty malts like a caramel 40. We'll give it a little bit of color, a little bit of caramel flavor, a little bit more body. We have roasted barley. It'll give it more of a roasty chocolate flavor, chocolate malt. So we'll put together our recipe here and put it in the mill, and we just crack that hull, and we'll auger it up into the grist case into the next room.
What's the profile of the guy that runs this mill? Is that you, or do you have a...
That's me. There's two of us.
Okay.
Well, actually three of us, because my brother Will helps on canning days and whenever else we need help. But I actually just hired a second brewer. So.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so things are finding a nice rhythm here.
Yep.
13 years you've been operating.
13 years. Yeah.
Great. And when you came here, you came with a base knowledge of brewing.
Yeah.
Where have you found it taking you? What direction are you going in
I
as a brewer?
I was pretty green, I would say, when we started. I think that the beer's come a long way. We do all kinds of different styles. I'm starting to mess around with sours, which is kind of the new thing, or wild beers, which I really like. The problem is you have to be very careful with them.
Can you define a wild beer? Is it about the yeast? Or?
It's about the yeast. So it's actually, some of it is actually like bacteria that you use, like lactobacillus, Brettanomyces, that actually for a long time was a horrible thing to have in beer. And actually our regular beers, you don't want that in there because it'll sour. But it's a style that's kind of taking off. Which I would like to get into, so that's kind of that's the next step.
And do those come from nature?
Yes, I mean there's yeast on us right now. Right. There's yeast everywhere in the air. The human body is full of lactobacillus, so which I haven't done yet, but a lot of brewers do, where they will produce the wort and they won't add any yeast whatsoever. They won't cool it down. They'll let the air cool it down and let it pick up all the yeast from the air.
Okay. And this is good Wisconsin air. Yeah. So they've got good Wisconsin beer here in Hayward at the Angry Minnow. So let's go fishing.
We have a Garn wood boiler, which heats 2,000 gallons of water. That we use. We burn a lot of wood, and we will heat the whole restaurant and brewery throughout the winter. And it is our hot water heater. So we heat all of our hot water with it. Our brewing water, when we fill the kettle in the morning, we can bring our water in at 120 degrees rather than sometimes in the winter it's 50. So instead of using that gas, natural gas to heat that. We use that wood to get that temperature up. We cut a lot of our own lumber. These are actually slabs from my dad's sawmill that he's actually sawing some timbers right now. So.
Great. So now if you'll just shoot so that they can.
Ready?
Okay.
Do a knock if you don't mind.
So I'm very interested to hear the story about your grandfather and the effort that he put into creating a restaurant, running a restaurant, and what you maybe got out of that as you were thinking with your brother about doing your project here at the Angry Minnow.
Yes, Mitro Skian and Cable, he ran a bar restaurant for 60 years. They were open. I think just over 60 years. He actually told us not to do it.
He did. What was his restaurant called?
Mitro's Skian.
Mitro Skian. And
Skian,
what was
yeah.
his name?
Mitro.
So Mitro's Skian, and it was in Cable, Wisconsin. His customers were recreational primarily? People coming
A lot of locals, and then with Telemark being open, he got a lot of. And that time period, I mean, you didn't travel as easily, I guess. The roads weren't as great. So I think Telemark, it was a small, cool little ski hill, but it brought a lot of people to this area. So a lot of, that really helped, I think, in the winter, the ski traffic, so.
And your grandmother was a part of the operation also?
Yes. Yep.
What was her, how did they work through their days? Was one a chef and the other one the hostess, or how did it work out?
No, that would, I'm not exactly sure how that worked.
Okay.
What their positions were. I think they did a little bit of everything. Probably cooked and bartended and did a little bit of it all.
And was that part of your conversation with your brother when you guys started to approach this project?
Well, we thought it was a cool idea for Hayward, and especially the brewery and the restaurants. And he told us, when we brought it up to him, he told us, "You're crazy." Because it is. I mean, it's a demanding business.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't say it's always like backbreaking hard labor, but it's kind of a constant. I mean, you're always going. There's always something, always something that needs to be done. Always something breaking, something that needs to be fixed.
So how did the conversation go? I mean, did you guys find the building and say that's where we want to put our brewery, and then start to come up with a plan based on the location, or did it exist in your mind well before? And then tell us a little bit about the building that you're in here.
And that was Will. When Will decided to do this, he found the building first, because he was a construction major in college, and we grew up construction with my dad. So neither of us he had bartended a couple times for my grandpa, but neither of us had been in the restaurant business whatsoever, no experience. So he found the building, he designed all the additions, and we went to work on that. And originally he was going to find a brewer, couldn't find a brewer, and I was doing so-so in college, and I liked this area, and he asked me if I would like to be the brewer. So that's kind of how that got started.
Oh, okay, cool.
But then he purchased the building, and it was built in 1889, the Northern Wisconsin Lumber Company office building. So it was kind of the office, the store, I believe, the bank.
And is there railroad tracks across the street?
There were Railroad Street, that's actually called. So, and the actual lumber yard, I believe, was kind of over almost where you stayed, the hotel there.
Okay. The Riverside?
Riverside.
All right. And was it derelict when you got here, or was it a rooming house, or what
It
was?
was an antique shop.
Oh, okay.
So
So there was a lot of retrofitting that you had to do.
yes, the guy that we purchased it from did a lot of work to it. Before he had it, it was, I think it had stood empty for a little while.
Okay.
So he did a lot of work to it, fixed a lot of the basement because it's all sandstone. I mean, it's sandstone, and the strange thing is the footings are Doug fir, so they didn't even come from, Doug fir didn't even come from this area.
Yeah.
So all the timber they were cutting here, they must have sold all of it and actually brought this Doug fir in on the train.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you've done a tremendous job, I have to say. I'm very impressed with not only the way the concept is employed, but also with the physical plant. It's tremendous. And this has been going on for a while now. You guys have been continuing to improve the base of your business by building onto the building. Is that the way it works?
Yes, yep. And I mean, you learn things every day. I mean, in the restaurant and the brewery, I come in one day and I say, why have I been doing this way? I mean, why have I not thought about that before? And I mean, so there's always ideas and changing.
And did you ever fish with your dad or your grandfather or your brother? Was that part of your bonding?
I have, not a lot. My grandfather was a big fisherman. My dad and brother, when they were younger, a little bit, but they don't do a whole lot of fishing. So that was kind of just something that, I think being so close, I've had a lot of younger friends that were really into fishing, and that's kind of what pulled me into it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a great time. Thank you for joining us and coming out with us, and I wish you all the success.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thanks, bro. So the American Rivers Tour in Hayward, Wisconsin. We've fished the Chippewa flowage with Jason and Eric. This has been a great experience for me. I've never hooked a muskie before, and when it happened, it exploded in front of me. So I hope that you enjoy our visit here at the Angry Minnow Brewery and on the Chippewa flowage. And if you ever have a chance to come to Hayward, don't let it go. All right. Thanks,
Nice.
bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.